We've made it to the second round of the playoffs, and 16 teams remain in the playoff field of the NAIA Football Championship Series. We're going to talk about some coaching vacancies that have manifested themselves in the last 11 days or so in the NAIA. And hey, listen, if you happen to click on this thinking you were making your way to Netflix to watch, the first few episodes being dropped for season 5 of Stranger Things, you're in the wrong place there, but we invite you to stick around anyway. We're going to have fun here on college football this week. Good evening. I'm Joey McWilliams on a Wednesday night, not a Thursday night tonight. And if you are watching live, please let us know from where you're watching and what team you are cheering for in the NAIA. 16 teams left, again, playing for a national championship to take place on December 20th in the greater Fort Worth area. Jeff, who is in tonight, and hey, listen, he's got a trip to Idaho to make. So roll stings, we got the roll stings in there. Let us know from where you're watching. Packing up for the trip to Idaho so you can enjoy Thanksgiving tomorrow with some of your family. Well, Jeff, stick around as long as you can. I know we are going to drop an offensive lineman name in here at some point in time. We'll try to get to it as quickly as we absolutely can. Again, thanks for watching tonight. Let's get right into it. News this week, as we know this, well, there were Coaches of the Year that were named regionally, according to the American Football Coaches Association. The AFCA named its Region 1 through 5 Coaches of the Year. Let's list those names for you. Miles Russ from Kaiser, no surprise there. Actually, he's won that for the second time in a row. 2 times, 2 years. Not bad for what Coach Russ has done at Kaiser. Region 2, Ted Karras from Marion. No shock there. The Knights in the playoffs. They're still in the field of 16 in the second round of the playoffs. Great year for Coach Karras' team. Second time he's won a Region Coach of the Year award. Joel Osborne, Benedictine, Region 3 Coach of the Year. The Ravens made it to the national semis last year, trying to make it that far and farther this year. So shout out to Coach Osborne. Fantastic year for him. A couple of names that I mentioned early on as coaches I thought would be good as Coaches of the Year nationwide. Region 4, Joel Pinner from Dordt has defenders undefeated until the final week of the regular season. Now, that lost to Morningside, but still just one loss on the resume this year, and the defenders are in the playoffs. Region 5, Kyle Sampson, Montana Tech is undefeated for the first time through the regular season. Shout out to all of those coaches. They've done a great job. We look at the second round of the playoffs right now, so let's go ahead and do that. Of the 16 teams that are remaining, 7 of the teams in the field right now have at least one national championship to their credit, and 17 of the last 23 NAIA football championship titles have been won by teams in the field. Now, let's say that again. 17 of the last 23 titles have been won by teams that are in it this year. So a very good chance that could be one of those that are repeating really quickly. Let's go to the chat. Thanks for watching. Robert watching tonight, hanging out watching from Alabama. Well, I appreciate that. The Iron Bowl heading your way, I guess. Are you going to stick around for that, or will you have to be back for Sunday? Just curious about that. And also, go GPAC. A couple of teams for the GPAC. We'll talk about them as well. EHS Big Guy, thank you for watching tonight. It's always a great day to be a Comet. Absolutely. Kylaw Detail. Hope I said that right. Blue Raiders watching live from Little Rock. We'll talk about a little bit of Lindsey Wilson football tonight. No doubt a very good season for the Blue Raiders. We're even going to mention an assistant coach name today. Matt, EHS Big Guy. Did you change the handle? Okay, well, that's fine. I know I would know who you are at that point in time. All right, it's great. Always a great day to be a Comet, and I say that one for sure. Let's go ahead and get into it really quickly. Graphics aside, not so many graphics this week. Lots of broadcasting last week. And then I had to catch up on, that whole work thing. I know that we all have to do a little bit of that. Let's go. The number 1 seed in this championship field is Grandview 10-0, and they're going to be hosting St. Francis of Indiana. The Cougars are 9-3. This is in Des Moines. Forecast for these games, and all of them forecast as of a little bit earlier today. So it's a Wednesday forecast. Obviously, weather can change between now and then. A high of 31 with light snow in Des Moines. Fourth meeting between these two. Grandview. Tonight's broadcast also, I think, brought to you by a certain brand of cough drop, which someday I will probably mention to you a little bit more. Anyway, Grandview, 2-1 all-time in this series. St. Francis won in 2018. It was in the first round of the NAIA playoffs, 34-3, the victory for the Cougars then. Grandview won in 2014 and 2013, 21-9, 23-7, respectively. Both of these teams have 2 national championships to their credit within the last 13 years. Grandview, of course, last year, and then back to 2013. St. Francis, 2016 and 2017, back-to-back years. St. Francis beat Evangel by 1 last week. Grandview was idle through the first round. And by the way, just wanted to say, I went 3-1 last week. Evangel missed a chip shot. Those things happen. I understand it. But man, I was like this close to going 4-0. So felt like it needed to be said. Both teams come in with first-year head coaches in Adam Sherman and in E.J. Peterson. And both of those coaches follow legends. With Joe Woodley, whose name has been synonymous with head coaching at Grandview, it's been a Coach Woodley all the way through until this year, whether it be Joe or his father. And, of course, Kevin Donnelly, who I don't know if is more of a legendary coach in the NAIA, especially within the last 40 years. Fantastic coach there. Both of them making their way into the playoffs in their first seasons as head coach. For St. Francis, Azariah Wallace, a Mid-States Midwest first-teamer, averaging 80.5 rushing yards per game, had 9 touchdowns this year. Joshua Kulka, 3,151 passing yards, 62% passing, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. For Grandview, it's the 70th straight regular season or Hart Conference game that they won in their last game, just obliterating Clark. 70 straight regular season games. Now, I realize there have been obviously some postseason losses along the way, but you go back to last season, 14-0, 10-0 this year, 24 consecutive wins for the Vikings right now, averaging 41.1 points per game and giving up only 12.5 points per game. That's second in the NAI in that category. Grandview has had some close calls this year, though. 27-24 a victory over Benedictine. That was in the season opener for the Vikings. 34-20 a victory over Peru State. The next week, 32-28 a victory over Mid-American Nazarene. And Grandview trailed by 14 in both of those games. Now, they've given up only 17 points in 3 games since then, but that was a little bit of those, maybe a mid-season crisis there. Apparently, the Vikings were able to get over it. Jackson Waring, the Hart North Player of the Year, 2,514 passing yards, 179.6 yards per game, 60.5% completion, 25 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions, and 13 more rushing touchdowns. Last year's National Player of the Year, putting himself in a position to win that honor again this year. Dalton Van Pelt has been huge for the Vikings as well. 62.7 rushing yards per game. He has 13 rushing touchdowns, matching what Waring has done with his rushing touchdowns. And some of his carries over the course of the season have been absolutely huge. So something to keep in mind right there. Also, don't forget about that Viking defense. John Argo, the Hart North Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, he got that honor again as well. Grandview had 3 members of its offensive line on the first team in the Hart North. James Wardick, Ryan Sadler, Nate Timmons. Don't take that lightly, because this is an offensive line that can protect for a quarterback who, by the way, has the ability to scramble and make his way down the field. Midwest Sportsnet, I know we don't start picking games until we get into the playoffs. We went 3-1 last week. That close. Well, we're taking Grandview in this one. The top seed will continue on into the quarterfinals. The number 2 seed, Kaiser, taking on the number 15 seed in Southeastern. The first of 2 conference matchups, the first of 2 rematches from this year. Southeastern 9-2, Kaiser 10-0. This takes place in West Palm Beach, and the forecast as of Wednesday is a beautiful high of 77 and partly sunny. Just can't ask for better weather for this in late November. 9th meeting between these two. Kaiser 6-2 all time, including a victory 34-23 back on November 8th. 4 straight that Kaiser has won over Southeastern. Now, Southeastern does have a couple of victories, but none in Sun Conference play. Both of those wins were when they were part of the Sun Division in the Mid-South Conference. So, as a part of the Sun Conference, Kaiser still undefeated all time in Sun Conference play. Southeastern won 27-17 in the 2018 finale, and Kaiser still went 6-4 that year. It was the inaugural season for the Seahawks. Never had a losing season. What a program. Southeastern, led by Adam Waugh, And William Henry, we talk about the defense a lot. William Henry, the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, or excuse me, for the Fire. And Thomas Ibrahim, the Sun Conference first-team defensive lineman. Also, Brady Nolan, a Sun Conference first-team linebacker. Southeastern had players throughout the defense, first and second teams. For Kaiser, Ty Lilogo, Sun Conference Defensive Player of the Year, second time he's received that honor. And obviously on the first team, he's a defensive lineman as well. Shea Spencer, first-team quarterback for the Sun Conference, 2,441 passing yards, 68.7% completions, 20 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. Here's where it gets big again for Kaiser. Jaden Miller, the Sun Conference first-team running back, 99.6 rushing yards per game. Yeah, just less than a tick shy of 100 rushing yards per game. 16 rushing touchdowns. Dylan Simon, don't forget about that name. If you are familiar with Kaiser, that it seems to be perennially not just one back that's strong, but it's two backs that are strong. Miller started the season strong. Simon came on, had some strong outings as the season went on. And Coach Russ can use either one of them. Simon averaging 75.6 rushing yards per game. He has 9 rushing touchdowns of his own. Don't forget about Peter Davila, the Sun Conference Assistant Coach of the Year. Lots going on there. Here are some numbers you probably would want to know if you were to put money on this game, which Vegas doesn't have odds, and we're not putting money on anything here on Midwest Sports Net. Kaiser is 58-0 when scoring at least 30 points. All time, 58-0. So if Kaiser gets to 30 points, this one you might stop writing in pencil and start writing in pen. They've won 27 straight in the state of Florida, home or away. Obviously, this one's going to be the state of Florida. 18 straight at home, playing there in West Palm Beach, and are 40-4 all-time at home. I like all of those numbers, and I like Kaiser in this game. The defense for Southeastern could make it a lower-scoring game. The weather could allow both of these teams to throw the ball around a little bit, like Shea Spencer, who's been there for what seems like at least 10 years, and he's going to continue keeping things rolling for Kaiser. So we're picking Kaiser in this one. Our second conference matchup takes us to the other side of the country, where the weather will not be a partly sunny 77-degree high on Saturday. Carroll is 9-2, taking on Montana Tech 11-0 in Butte, Montana. The Saints are the number 14 seed, having won their first playoff postseason win since 2014. Montana Tech, the number 3 seed in the Football Championship Series. The forecast as of Wednesday was a high of 27. It might get as low as 1 early in the morning on Saturday morning. A high of 27, partly sunny. And this one is, according to the information I have, and again, I could be wrong, 125th meeting all time between these two programs. What a number, 125. Carroll 82, 40-2 all time. Montana Tech won earlier this year, 30-19. That was all the way back on September 6th, and they won 4 straight in the series. Carroll won 19-0 in 1931, the inaugural meeting between the two. It was another 6 years before they met again, and Montana Tech in that one also a shutout, 29-0. Robert, we are going to do a Bet the Marn segment tonight, just 2 on the Bet the Marn. We're going to try to keep things rolling to get into it. But yes, if you want to stick around for that, we'd love to have you on that one. Carroll, 6 national championships between 2002 and 2010. What a run the Saints have done. And so, again, first postseason win, though, since 2014. That was the victory last week in a win over St. Thomas. Had to hold on for a 42-35 victory there at home. On the road this week, Braden Orlandi, a Frontier Conference West Defensive Player of the Year for Carroll, and Caden Hewitt, who has stepped into that starting role back at the start of the year. Second team in the Frontier Conference West. Wow, Hewitt's had a great year. How could he be second team? He's behind Michael Palandri for Montana Western, whose numbers were just gaudy. Also, the not only the West first-team quarterback, but the Player of the Year in the Frontier Conference West. Hewitt, though, 2,681 passing yards, 243.7 per game, 63.9% completions, threw 32 touchdowns to 8 interceptions this year, 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So he has a couple of first-teamers to throw the ball to. Fantastic receivers in Chris Akolshin, the wide receiver, and Carson Ochoa, a tight end as well, both first team in the Frontier Conference West. You look at what's on the other side of the ball. Now, these players are not going to be out there at the same time, but for Montana Tech, Levi Torgerson was the Frontier Conference East Player of the Year, a wide receiver winning that honor, and rightfully so. He did so much more than just catch the ball, although he did that in stellar fashion and put up a lot of points along the way. Jarrett Wilson got him that ball, the Frontier Conference East Offensive Player of the Year. Wilson throwing 2,281 passing yards that averaged 207.3 per game, 76.5% completion percentage. Now, of all the quarterbacks in the NAIA who have thrown more than 30 passes this year, that is the high number, 76.5%, an incredible number there. Tops in the NAI, 26 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Let's slow down for just a moment and go back again. You want to talk about a touchdown to interception ratio, and we talk about 4-1 being good, 5-1 being good. You get above 5-1, pretty stellar. 26-1, 26 passing touchdowns to just 1 interception, 5 rushing touchdowns as well. What a season for Jarrett Wilson. By the way, I want to go back to that 76.5% completion rating. Or completion is not a rating, it's just a percentage. Peyton Rottinghouse, I told you to remember that name. I'm going to say it one more time. 76.5% passing completion for the season so far. He's the backup quarterback at Grandview. He's a junior from Urbandale, Iowa. I just want you to remember that name. I think we're going to talk about it again in the future. Tech also has Tell Arthur, who is the Frontier Conference East Defensive Player of the Year, and Jacob Graves, the Frontier Conference East Offensive Lineman of the Year. And yes, we talk about offensive linemen on this channel. We'll do it tonight. This one is tough, but I don't think too tough. Montana Tech's had a year. Coach Sampson, the Region 5 Coach of the Year. Coach Purcell does a fantastic job too. But I would say with the role that the Diggers are on, and we don't want to interfere with Henchman 21. We know he's likely to see something on this at some point in time. At this point in time, I realize it's tough to beat a team more than one time in a year. But we think the Diggers are going to do it. We're going to take the home team in this one, and we're picking Montana Tech so far, taking all 3 of the top seeds. How about the 4th seed? The Friends Falcons, the number 4 seed in the championship series, hosting William Penn, the number 13 seed in the championship series. And there's Henchman 21. So let's go ahead and put that one up there really quickly. 18 all-conference selections, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Great season. And Henchman 21, I don't think it's over. And I know you don't think it's over yet either. William Penn, 11-1. Friends, 11-0. Big-time matchup here. First meeting between these two programs. In Wichita, Kansas, the forecast as of Wednesday, as of today, a high of 45 and partly sunny. Now, it's no, actually, this is the 4th meeting. I'm sorry, I was looking down at another one. This is the 4th meeting between these two. However, you have to go back a few years, like 71 years. The last time these two teams met, Friends won 53-12 in 1954. Friends also won 25-13 in 1953 and won 19-13 in 1949. So it's been a while since these two teams have met. The last loss for each team, though, interestingly enough, was Grandview. William Penn lost 41-9 earlier this year, and last year in the playoffs, it was Friends' last loss. Since then, 21-17 at Des Moines to Grandview. Of course, the Vikings went on to take the national title. For William Penn, Mark Benavidez, the Heart North Coach of the Year. And he's taken his team to heights that they haven't been at before. After back-to-back 4-6 seasons, 10-1 in the regular season this year, they've done that before. Won the 11th game of the season. That's a first for the Statesman, 11-1 right now. And Destin Loring, the Heart North Offensive Player of the Year, 29 touchdowns rushing. That is first in the NAI. This game, by the way, highlights the two topped in the NAIA in rushing touchdowns. Cavante Baker with 26 rushing touchdowns. That's second in the NAI. Let's go to Friends right now, where Terry Harrison was the KCAC Bissell Division Coach of the Year. Cavante Baker, The overall KCAC Player of the Year, 92.1 rushing yards per game, those 26 touchdowns, second in the NAI. And for Friends, 5,301 rushing yards on the season. That is an average of 481.9 yards per game rushing, The record Friends set last year, 5,351 yards. It took them 13 games to do that. They nearly topped that this year in 11 games. And realistically, I mean, we're talking about less than 5 yards per game away from topping that mark in 11 games this year. They're going to beat it on Saturday. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, barring something catastrophic, I'm saying if they went 9 on 11, and this is not a statement against in any way being derogatory to William Penn. I don't care who they're playing. They could go out there 9 on 11 and still set a new rushing record on Saturday. Don't think that's going to happen, but the rushing record still will happen. 9 on 11, that's not likely to happen, but the rushing record's going to happen. We'll talk about that in the Bet the Barn segment a little bit later on. We're taking Friends at home. Big season, by the way. Coach Benavidez, he's not unfamiliar with this Terry Harrison coached team, as he was at Avila for a number of years, coached against Friends. The first year Coach Harrison was at Friends, and then prior to that, when Coach Harrison was at Bethel, also in the KCAC, he's run up against this a number of times. He's familiar with what this offense can do. It's just tough to stop no matter what. So Friends has had a week to rest and get ready for it. We're taking Friends at home. Benedictine, the 5 seed, hosting Campbellsville, the 12 seed. The Ravens are 10-1 and hosting there in Atchison, Kansas. Campbellsville, 8-2. The forecast as of Wednesday, a little bit farther north in the state from where Wichita is, to the northeast, and the high of 39 with some light snow. So maybe some inclement weather there. First meeting between these two programs. They were both idle last week as they both got the bye. Trey Bass, the Mid-South Conference Special Teams Player of the Year, but it's more than just special teams with Bass. I mean, he's the leading running back. He's already crossed the 1,000-yard mark, 1,081 rushing yards, has 11 rushing touchdowns, and 7 receiving touchdowns. Stellar year for Trey Bass. Jet Engel at quarterback comes over from Kentucky Christian, and all he's done is step into the role, take it over, and lead his team to a record of 8-2 and into the playoffs. 261.9 passing yards per game, 63.5% completion, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. On the other side of the ball, he's going up against the Region 3 Coach of the Year in Joel Osborne, Hart South Coach of the Year, and Jackson Dooley, no surprise, the Hart South Player of the Year, 2,807 passing yards, the all-time leader in passing yards for Benedictine. They've had some good quarterbacks. 57% through the air this year, 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Nice ratio there. Xavier Ugorji, the Hart South Offensive Player of the Year, and Isaiah Haston, the Hart South Defensive Player of the Year, just to name a few more. But you look at the quarterback battle, and these are two strong quarterbacks. I don't know if Leo is able to watch tonight. I'm sure he may watch this on the replay. I don't see any way to go against Benedictine at home. This is a team that has had a fantastic year. You look at 10-1, the only loss being against Grandview, and a victory over Morningside along the way. Just ran through the Hart South, took care of business all the way through, got the automatic bid, beat a strong Baker team, beat a strong Mid-American Nazarene team. I'm taking Benedictine at home in this one. Still going chalk with all of our picks so far. Dort is 9-1. The Defenders are the number 10 seed coming in. Marion, the Knights, are 10-1. This game will be played in Indianapolis. Marion hosting with a forecast as of today, a high of 36 with rain and snow forecast. This could get ugly. First meeting between these two programs, Marion won national championships back in 2012 and 2015. Dort, under the leadership of the GPAC Coach of the Year, Joel Penner, led his team to yet another step along the ladder. 9 wins again this season, 9-1 overall, a playoff appearance again, second time in 3 years. Stephen Linen, GPAC first team, all GPAC kicker. I mentioned him. We'll come back to it. Cole Johnson, GPAC first teamer, a freshman. He is a defensive back. And why do we mention him as a freshman? The only freshman that made first team in the GPAC this year. We said from the outset that Dort was having to reload. We knew that Coach Penner knew that he felt pretty strong about this team. And even though he was losing a lot of players, he's bringing a lot back, and he recruited very well. Absolutely, he did that, and they filled in the gap. The defense for the Defenders has been strong. You would think with a name like Defenders it would be. Colton Cruz has stepped into the starting role for Noah Strickfaden, and both of them played solid. Cruz, along the remainder of the season, did well enough to keep that starting role. For Marion, Tristan Polk, the starter there, he's had a solid season. Ted Karras, the Midwest Coach of the Year, twice he's won that honor. He's 3-1 in playoff appearances in the first and second rounds, so this is a second-round game. Keegan LaBelle is the Midwest MVP. The running back has had a solid season. We've talked about him throughout. Jake Reichard, first-teamer on the Midwest as well. All week last week and throughout the start of this week, when it looked like this could be a matchup, I felt like Dort. My heart's with Dort. Coach Penner, I mean, admittedly, I'm a fan. I like his work. I like what he is able to put it on the field. I like the way that he leads the young men. And just really have enjoyed watching the Defenders play well all season long. So my heart says Dort. Officially, we're going to pick Marion. I think Coach Karras has this team in a great position. At home, I think LaBelle is set up to play well in a day that could be challenging for both these teams. Could be a low-scoring game, should be a low-scoring game. They both bring good defenses to the table, including a stellar defense from Dort. I mentioned Stephen Linen. I think the game could come down to him, could come down to a kicking game, and Linen is prepared for it. One way or the other, though, we're going to give Marion our pick here on Midwest Sportsnet. So we're taking top seeds through the first 6 games. And Indiana Wesleyan, 9-2 on the road at Lindsey Wilson, 9-1. This one in Columbia, Kentucky. Forecast is a high of 46 and cloudy. First meeting between these two programs. Indiana Wesleyan has 8 on the all Mid-States, Mid-East first team offensive side of the ball, and that includes Arjun Lothe, who is the MVP of the Mid-East, 3,704 passing yards. First in the NAIA in that category, just 11 games. 336.7 yards per game, 60.6 completion rate, 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and he is on the road taking on a Coach Phil Kleckler-led Blue Raider team. Coach Kleckler, the Coach of the Year. Coach Jay Bright, he was mentioned at the outset. And you go back, this is in the preseason. He made his way over to Lindsey Wilson. Would he make a difference there? Well, apparently, according to the admin and the other coaches in the conference, he was the assistant coach of the year, helping Lindsey Wilson again to that 9-1 record. Tate Rice came off the bench in week 2 and was the Mid-South Offensive Player of the Year. 1,959 passing yards, 65% completions, 24 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Yeah, that's a 6-to-1 ratio right there. Tay Saunders is the Mid-South Offensive Player of the Year. Man, everything seemed to line up for Lindsey Wilson. And let me see. Let me go back here really, really quickly. Shout out, by the way. Okay. Kylaw Detail. Man, appreciate you stopping by tonight, Kylaw. And I am thrilled with what Lindsey Wilson has done this year. I think Indiana Wilson comes in and steals this one. On the road. Wildcats. We're taking Wildcats on the road in this one. First lower-seeded team in our picks tonight. But wait, there's more. One more game on the docket as we head toward that half-hour mark. Morningside's 9-2 on the road at College of Idaho, 9-1. This one in Caldwell, Idaho. The forecast as of Wednesday, a high of 46 and cloudy. By the way, the forecast for Columbia, Kentucky and Caldwell, Idaho, exactly the same. High of 46 and cloudy. Elevation, not as much of a factor in Caldwell as it is in Butte. Butte, you're talking about more than a mile high. First meeting between these two programs, Morningside won 3 national championships in a 4-season stretch in 2018, 2019, and 2021. Zach Chevalier, the GPAC first-team quarterback, 3,586 passing yards. Second in the NAIA in that category, 326 yards per game, 68.6 completions, 40 touchdowns. Second in that category to 9 interceptions. And he finds Drew Sellen more often than anyone else, more often for Drew Sellen than anyone else in the NAIA. Tied in that top spot, 17 receiving touchdowns for the junior. And a shout out to Drew Sellen, the GPAC Offensive Player of the Year. Congratulations, Drew. 1,228 receiving yards to this point, third in the NAIA, averaging 122.8, first in the NAIA in that category. And I think there are going to be a few more connections ahead of him, not just in this game. Jalen Birch, a GPAC first-teamer, the running back, who stepped in about week 6 for Max Huff and found his way on the first team in the GPAC. Great season for him. And Brody Cutterer, and I hope I mentioned this before, Jeff had to go spend some more time with family. Not had to spend time with family, gets to spend time with family, Jeff. But a shout-out to Brody Cutterer, the only Morningside offensive lineman to make the first team in the GPAC. Great season to him. And we do enjoy talking about offensive linemen here on the program as well. Well, what about Ashton Peterson, Frontier Conference West Offensive Lineman of the Year, as we go to the other side of the ball. Riley Byington, first teamer on the Frontier Conference West, the running back. Caden Young, looking for that recognition as well. The quarterback for College of Idaho. And Mike Morosky, the Frontier Conference West Coach of the Year. We thoroughly enjoy listening to Coach Morosky. What a fantastic coach he is, and what just a great person. I look forward to getting to visit with him every year. I hope we get to visit with him more than once in the course of 25, into 2026. Yeah, Jeff, no doubt. Absolutely. We love our offensive linemen here, and a shout out to Brody as well. And of course, he stopped by. He's been in the chat too, so we have to give some love to him in the chat there. These two teams, first meeting between the two. This could be a fun game to watch. Cloudy, doesn't say that weather could be inclement. 46 degrees, could drop into the 30s, either at the start of the game or a little bit after. Should be in the 40s, and both these two teams are ready for cold weather. I think this should be a fun game to watch. Looking forward to watching that game as well. And the Yotes, who got the automatic qualifying bid out of the Frontier Conference West, well, props to them. We're taking the road team in this one. We're going with Morningside. The number 9 seed over the number 8 seed. I realize that's not much of an upset there if it is one, but we're going to go ahead and go with Morningside in this one to make it on into the quarterfinals. So our picks as we go along: Grandview, Kaiser, Montana Tech, Friends, Benedictine, Marion, just past Dordt, Indiana Wesleyan on the road, Morningside on the road. We reserve the right to change those picks between now and Saturday. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to stick with those picks. So there we are. All right. Let me slow down really quickly. Take a real quick sip of water. In my cup with the Division I team's logo on it. But we'll keep it right there for right now. I want to say, listen, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do, because this is I know we're not dropping any of season 5 for Stranger Things broadcast here on the channel, so you have to go somewhere else for that. But if you want to hear about small college sports, and specifically our live streams twice a week, Thursday and Sunday, during the regular season, where we talk about NAIA football specifically, you're in the right place. And you know what? Some of you all are going to be with family. I know some of you all are going to get to see family. Some of you all specifically getting to spend time with family over the course of the next couple of days. Well, guess what? If you have family members that haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time to say, look, I know a channel you need to sub to. Absolutely free, totally free. Just check their phone and say Midwest Sportsnet, and there we are. And we're still trying to grow the channel, so have fun with that if you will. There's always going to be some weird uncle that needs to subscribe to something, so that's cool. I don't know. Am I that weird uncle right now? No, I'm the fun uncle. There we go. I'm the fun uncle. And hey, listen, I'm fun granddaddy at this point. I get to see all 4 of my grandkids this weekend. Looking forward to that too, along with watching some college football. All right, Jeff, got to run. Enjoying getting to visit with you tonight. Safe trip, Jeff. Let's go ahead and we'll drop that one on there really quickly. Safe trip to Jeff, making his shortest trip to get to watch a Morningside game. So you and the family have fun, and we'll talk to you later, Jeff. Check in a little bit later on. All right, now, coaching vacancies. Did you all know there's some coaching vacancies? Now, in the NAI, there will be 96 teams next year. We know that the affiliation is losing Siena Heights. However, St. Mary of the Woods is going to move from a sprint football team to a full 11-on-11 team. We know that Mount Mercy is having its inaugural season in 2026. We also know that Andrew College out of Georgia is going to be making its debut in the NAI in 2026 as well. So 96 teams in the field, overall field next year, not playoff field, but in the overall field next year. Of them, we know already that 6 are going to have a new head coach. And let's talk about those programs really quickly. And Brett, all right, starting the trip. All right, safe trip, by the way. Safe trip from Texas to Idaho tomorrow morning. Okay, Brett. Safe trip tomorrow morning. Glad you're watching tonight. From Texas to Idaho. Listen, I don't know what part of Texas you're from. I was born in Corpus Christi, lived there for a number of years. You can drive from Corpus Christi pretty much in any direction except, like east, because then you're going to get really, really wet really quickly. But, heading out of Corpus Christi north up to Oklahoma, that's a day-long trip in and of itself, and you never leave the state of Texas. So I'm familiar with some of those trips. All right, let's see. Where were we? Oh, coaching vacancies. Let's start. Let's just take this in alphabetical order. Avila, Derek Alexander was there for 3 years. 4-7, 4-7, and this year 1-10. Now, I want you to compare that with the coach he replaced. Mark Benavidez, in the last 3 years, went 4-6, 4-6, similar records, but this year not 1-10, 10-1 in the regular season. And so there you go. No story on the Avila website, but the picture is gone from the coach's page. And this is Football Scoop that's reporting that Derek Alexander is moving on. Eastern Oregon, Tim Camp. 18 years the coach for the Mountaineers, 2 years as an assistant coach as well. So 2 full decades on staff with the Mountaineers there. 91 and 96, the winningest coach in program history. His sons Walker and Willie played for him there as well, receiver and tight end. 4-6, though, the record in 2025. And according to their site, they're beginning the transition of leadership. That was posted back on November 21st. So Eastern Oregon looking for a new head coach there. Langston, Quentin Morgan, who had been with the Lions for 10 years, second winningest coach, 68 and 33 over that period, was 3-7 in 2025. Went out with a win, though, over Panhandle State. Conference champions in 2017, 2018, and 2019. That's when they were with the CSFL, and playoffs in 2017 and 2018 as well. So there will be a new head coach in Langston, Oklahoma. Missouri Baptist, Jason Burinek, 12 years with the program. He's the first coach in Missouri Baptist football history. Now, his social media hasn't yet reflected that he is gone. Still listed on the coach's page, 34 and 84 his record in 12 years, 4-6 this year, and won 3 of the last 4, but just couldn't get past Benedictine, Baker, and Mid-American Nazarene in that hard South. How do we know that he's stepping out, though? His social media hasn't changed to reflect that he's gone. There's a football head coach position posted on the university's website as an open position, quote unquote, with the responsibilities required and instructions as to how to apply. So the university is posting that position as open. Peru State, Phil Ockengay, 4 years, came to Peru State from FCS South Dakota, and a solid record, 23 and 19. Now, this one, if you want to scratch your head about any one of them on there, here's one to scratch your head about. 6-5, 5-6, 7-3, and this year 6-5. Only one losing season. Heart North is very tough. It's tough to get past Grandview. No wins over Grandview in that amount of time. But it was reflected on the website where he received a non-renewal notice on his contract. So Coach Ockengay out at Peru State with the Bobcats. And Waldorf, Tyler Chappa, 4 years there, and it's been a struggle. And realistically, you can point to Waldorf joining the GPAC because the Warriors have not won a game conference or otherwise, since joining the GPAC. 0-21 overall, 0-20 in the GPAC. Currently in a 24-game losing streak right now, longest in the NAI currently. 7-4 back in 2022, then 4-6, then 0-11, then 0-10. So Tom Clary is the defensive coordinator. He is the interim head coach there at Waldorf. All right, let's go to the Bet the Barn segment, and let's wrap things up tonight. We'll talk more about coaching vacancies, but just wanted to mention that specifically so you know about that. 96 teams in 2026, 6 of them we know will have new head coaches, which there were 19 first-year head coaches this year. We haven't gotten to that number just yet. All right, 2. We have 2 things in our Bet the Barn segment. If you're new to the channel, then we have a barn. It is right out there. And my wife says it's a carriage house. It's pretty much a barn. And if I were going to bet something, what would I bet? I'd bet the barn. Now, our barn that we're betting is fictitious. I don't know. Do you have a barn where you are? Well, you should. I don't know if you should or not. Anyway, we're betting the barn. What would you bet the barn on? And if you were forced to bet on any of these things, what side would you take? Now, we don't give lines. We're not picking any team by another team by a certain amount of points. We always enjoy doing prop bets, doing totals bets. We have a couple of prop bets tonight. So let's go with this. All right, let's go. Let's start with, let's see if I can bring this up here. Let's start with this one. Montana Tech. If Henchman 21 is still listening, Montana Tech. What do we have there? Montana Tech, Torgerson, the Divisional Player of the Year, the Frontier Conference East Player of the Year. We know that he can throw the ball for touchdowns. We know he can carry the ball for touchdowns. We know that he can return a punt or a kickoff for touchdowns. Yeah, your ears are burning, Henchman 21. Absolutely. Well, how big is he going to be in this game? I would suspect he has to have at least 1 touchdown. Now, listen, this is not lost on Carroll. The Saints have a great defense year in and year out. Coach Purcell does a fantastic job with a defensive program there, the Saints. They're already coming off a victory. They know what Torgerson can do. And Henchman 21's not even giving me time to talk about it. Is Torgerson going to have more or less, over under 2.5 touchdowns? Doesn't matter how they come. Dave, shout out to you. Phone's dying. Go ahead and hey, listen, pick something on this sometime later. Come back and let us know in the comment section, all right? Safe travel. Absolutely safe travel. Where are we? Dave, phone dying. Thanks for watching tonight. Shout out to Drew, Offensive Player of the Year, no doubt. And pick something a little bit later on. All right. Let's go with Levi or Torgerson if you can spell Torgerson. So what are you going to put here? Go ahead and be on record. Don't be afraid to be on record. Henchman 21 says over. Torgerson with over. More than 2.5 touchdowns. Receiving, returning, rushing, throwing. Doesn't matter. All right. Henchman 21 on record. All right. Safe travels to everyone, by the way. All fan trash talk aside, respect to all the teams that made it this far. Even the crappy GPAC teams. Oh, that's funny. I hope Dave stuck around to watch that. Robert says Torgerson over. Okay, Torgerson over. Have a couple. Let's see here. Anyone else want in on this one? By the way, if you're watching this on the replay, just put something in the comment section. If you're watching this video on demand, put something in the comment section. I think they need to get something from Levi. I really do. All right. Matt says Levi under. Okay. Dave, I'm not being swayed by Dave tonight. I'm going to go ahead. Look, I think they have to get something from him. I think they have to have something there, and I will go on record putting it up there. I'm going to say over. I think this could be a fun game for Torgerson. But it's also one of those that you never know. I mean, you're into now week 12, or excuse me, 12th game, not week 12, 12th game for Montana Tech, and they haven't had need for any kind of trickery. So surely there's a player or two that hasn't been run yet that might have Levi's number on it. All right. Okay, there we go. Let's see. One more here really quickly, and we'll wrap things up. One more here really quickly, and we'll wrap things up. Second one tonight. How about this one? Friends is going to set the rushing record. Let me say that again. I don't care if it's 9 or 11, and that's not being disrespectful to William Penn. There are 92 other teams beside William Penn that are out there that if Friends played 9 on 11 would get at least 51 rushing yards in this game. They would. I want to say that's objectively true. That's purely subjective, but still, they're going to get 51 yards in this game. So here is your prop bet pick. Who's going to get the record-setting carry? In other words, who will have the ball when that 51st yard is picked up? Is it going to be Cavante Baker, leading rusher on the team, player of the year in the conference? Is it going to be Nick Cordova or Edarian Sykes, who are both right there, neck and neck in that second and third spot for rushing yards per game? Or you're going to pick the field. There are 15 other players for Friends that have carried the ball this year. Of those 15, 9 have double digits carries. You know in this option attack that it's not going to be just one player with the ball. That would be silly. They mix things up. There's so many different assignments, and on defense, so many different assignments that you have to pick up along the way to try to stop the ball, which no one has been able to do yet this year. Who gets the record-setting carry as Friends will surpass its own record for rushing yards in a season? Is it going to be Baker? Is it going to be Cordova? Is it going to be Sykes? Or will it be someone else in the field? So here's your chance. Friends and the name. Friends and the name. And Robert is going to go ahead and give his call there. So let's put it up here so people can see it. Oh, well, that Matt. Okay, sorry. My chat moved on me. Matt says Cordova. That's a good pick. Henchman says the field. It's a lot easier. It's an easier pick, Henchman. Not going out on a limb there, are you? Robert says Baker. Cavante Baker gets it. He has 26 rushing touchdowns already this year. Is he going to be the one? Anyone else want in on this one? Last one of the night. All right, you guys. Brent says Cordova. Excuse me. Brett says Cordova. See, I feel like I'm being swayed without Dave here because I'm telling you I was going to go with Cordova, so I'm going to go ahead and put it down. I'm going with Nick Cordova in this one, and I will post it on the screen so you can see it there. Taking Cordova. They're going to get 51 yards. They're going to get 51 yards. I set a new rushing record. And again, they'll do it in 12 games. What an accomplishment. What an accomplishment. That's something else. All right. Robert says Baker and Henchman taking the field. And Matt and Brett and I are all taking Nick Cordova on that one. So someone should take Edarian Sykes in the comment section. Find out a little bit later on. All right. We're wrapping it up from the Emerald Quest headquarters right here in southern Oklahoma, just north of the Red River. And we're going to be watching a lot of football tomorrow. We're going to watch a lot of football on Saturday. 8 fun games to talk about. We will do that Sunday night at 8 p.m. And we'll put this one up here. If Baker gets 51 yards on the first carry, props to you. Bonus points. We have to add to your number, okay? We do need to. I have the totals for everyone already. We need to go over that maybe on Sunday, too. The year's starting to wind up. No. Now, what the thing is, I'll tell you here's what's going to happen on that one, Robert. They'll have a passing play. They'll get to 49 yards, and they'll be at midfield. And then all of a sudden, Baker's just going to look up and throw a 60-yard dime to somebody, and they'll score a touchdown on that. Anyway, I saw it twice in Wichita. I'm still sore about that because I put the phone down twice. Both times I put the phone down from the videoing were touchdown passes of 50-plus yards. Missed them both. It's all right. Anyway, okay, so there we are. We're wrapping up. You have your picks in, and those are my picks officially to this point. And if you follow and you're a part of Corey's Discord, then I'll have them online on that one for sure. Hey, listen, I have had fun tonight. I appreciate it. Only one cough drop. Not bad. I call that a win all the way around. It's going to be a good Thanksgiving tomorrow. I just want to say God bless you all. I appreciate you stopping by here As always, Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet will ask me how'd it go, and I will tell her I got to talk to some of the coolest people around. And I did. And I don't make that up. I'm grateful to get to spend time with you guys. Shout out to all of you all. Brett, safe trip as you're making your way north from Texas to get there. Safe trip to Jeff tonight. Safe trip to, I'm sure Dave is going to be going, and everyone else for wherever that you're going to watch your game. Henchman, if you go to watch a game, you're probably just right there at home. But anyway, have a safe trip and have a great Thanksgiving. And remember, be thankful. We have so much to be thankful about. There's always stuff that's going on around us, and I edit sometimes. I'm never going to give an SEC violation, but I can say there's always crap going on around us. But you know what? There's so much more to be thankful for than all of that. And counting blessings, if you started counting blessings, you would not stop before midnight tonight. Doesn't matter what time zone you're in. You can be in the Mountain Time Zone. You'll be counting blessings all the way through. We are a blessed group of people. We are a blessed people here, and I want you guys to have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Please be safe on the roads. Enjoy it. Enjoy the time with your family, and let's all come back and talk again on Sunday. I think there are going to be some cool games to talk about. All 8 of them should be fun to watch. God bless you all. Henchman 21, thank you, sir. Good luck to everyone tonight. Brett, thanks for watching. Let's see here. Dave watched tonight. Henchman 21 watched tonight. Robert says, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Enjoy the day with family and friends. Brett, thanks for being on with us the pretty much the whole time tonight. Let's see who else was on here. Matt, thanks for watching tonight. We also had, let's find out. Of course, Dave's always there. Appreciate that. Jeff, man, safe trip to you, Jeff. Have fun. And also, let's see. I knew there was one more up here. Yeah, it was Kylaw Detail. Thanks for watching, Kylaw, tonight. Appreciate everybody being here. Now, you guys have a great night. Safe trip to everything. Happy Thanksgiving. Love you all. Mean it. Want the best for you. Let's get out of here and let's watch some football tomorrow and have some good food along the way, too.